What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode and live stream of Let's Get Nuts on the Ben Thomas Show. I am sweating. I just got back from IKEA. I was racing across town trying to make sure I, got here on time, and I was still, of course, 5 minutes late. My guests were even sitting backstage waiting for me to arrive. You hate to see it, but today we have a very packed show sheet. We're going to get into a little bit of what is your favorite movie trilogy. We're also got so many different EXO-6 announcements, Mars toys, Hot Toys, all of the things. So make sure you guys stick around. Of course, if you guys like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get going.
Come on, let's get nuts.
I give you Ben Thomas.
Showtime.
Here we go.
Alrighty, so without further ado, we have Mr. Zach, the Oxfather himself from Collecting Weekly, in the back room waiting. Again, the consummate professional, 15 minutes early, as he should be, even if I am the host late. You hate to see it.
As I would expect from you.
As you would expect from me. Thanks for joining, buddy. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm excited to be here. You've upped the production value since the last time I've been on the show, so I love to see it.
Working on it a little bit anyways. It's always a work in progress. We've been having lots of great feedback from the community kind of slowly over the last couple of weeks, and lots of views on Sundays and stuff. We do have Marco from 166 joining us here pretty shortly. He's helping his dad unload his shed, which is random. So I was like, take your time, like don't pull your back. I don't want to be responsible for any, weed whacker related injuries. As well as Pete from OFAC will be here shortly as well. He's also running just a couple minutes late. Seems to be the way she goes, of course. But let's check in, see who's in the chat at least. We've got Daniel. Good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for joining in. We got 12-inch Moose Stream. A stream would now not be a stream on the Ben Thomas Show without him. Good to see you here, buddy. He says, happy Sunday, collector community. Good day to Daniel as well. Of course, that's myself already in the chat. We've got Ryan Smith here in the chat as well. Hey, chaps. Good to see you, buddy. We've got Equan. What's up, very handsome gentleman? Thank you, good sir. Is Equan joining us this afternoon for our double nut feature? Or
I don't know, Equan, if you want to be on the reissue, just send me a message in the reissue chat.
I don't think we hammered that out.
He didn't say anything.
All right. We got Absolute Irwin in the chat as well. The Nutty Crew. You know it, 100%. And of course, damn it, Spock, one of my Star Trek buddies out there in the world. He says, evening lads from the UK. Good to see you here, buddy. And yeah, that's it for now. We'll check in here in a couple minutes as well. But Zach, I wanted to bring this up right away because I finally got the display behind me finished. The last couple streams I've done, only half the cabinets have been lit. And I took some time, throughout the kind of the progress of the shelf this time to kind of video my process, because after I built my main studio room out on the other side there, I had a lot of questions on how I actually built it and everything. So I put this up on the Ben Thomas Show yesterday. It's the DIY display, do it yourself, of course. I always get that confused with DUI, which I think is driving under the influence. Definitely not the case, although these cabinets may have been done a little
I was building them under the influence, though.
Yeah, I'm not
it was
wrong.
BUI.
You're not wrong. But these ones, not to spoil the video, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, it is the Billy cabinets from IKEA with the Augsburg doors and then Philips Hue lighting. And I kind of go through how I run the lighting and try and get it as cord-free as possible, because I don't know about you, buddy. Cords for me are like rust on a car. Once I see it, I can't unsee it. But my question for you, because it's been a while since I've seen your collection tour, and I know yours is changing all the time. What's your favorite way to display your collection at the moment? Do you have a go-to? What's your favorite?
So I use Detox currently for some of my 1/6 scale. I also have different cabinets and garage shelving. I would say of all those, I like the garage shelves the best. Probably this year, between now and the end of the year, or into early next spring, I'll be moving to the garage. So I'll probably have maybe 250 to 300% more space. So I will be investing in a lot of garage shelving. I think it's cheap. I think it's pretty high quality. So I will be investing into that. Yeah, I like the IKEA stuff, but I think for the like displayable, square footage, I think garage shelving is a little bit more my speed. And the ones that like we have a branch of stores here called Costco. They have some really nice garage shelving where they don't have like the holes on the outside of the frame, so you can channel the wires in through there. And then the bottoms of the shelves, the one I have currently behind me, it has those holes, and it also has like MDF for the base. The ones at Costco, they're plastic, textured plastic for the base, so they look really pretty.
Cool.
Super easy to assemble. You can make them wide if you have statues. You can make them tall if you have 6 scale. And I think that they're really solid for display. So I'll probably be investing in those when I get the into the garage. But yeah, I think for me those are nice. I like your display. I just the issue with me is I collect a lot of different scales and a lot of different things like Lego and 6 scale and 12-inch. And so for me, it's kind of hard to dedicate the vertical space for these type of bookshelves. I've also been a really big fan of the what brand is this? I think it's Rubbermaid. They have a modular shelving system where it's like a track, and you can mount it, and you just basically have these shelving brackets that slot in, and you can change the height really easily.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of
Decent weight rating on them then?
Yeah, depending on like the shelves themselves are rated pretty high, but you can add more tracks. So like for example, if it's a 4-foot shelf, they recommend 3 tracks. But I think if you add like a 4th track, they they can support more weight. I think, I don't know, like I have a premium format statue up there, and it's the toothless. It's not that heavy, and it works just fine. Honestly, like I'm super impressed with it, and being able to change the height is really nice. So when I get into the garage, I'll probably have garage shelving, and then to take up the vertical space, because it is a pretty tall garage, I'll probably have these throughout the room, and they're pretty nice. 10-15 minutes to install.
Oh,
and
that's good.
I mean, I like them. They're definitely not like as nice as like a Maji case or like kind of what you got, but I think it's probably like $10 a track, like $5 for the where you actually place the shelves on, and the shelves are like $8. So for less than $30, you can basically put like 3 to 4 feet by 12 inches of figure, which is comparable to a DTOF in terms of like the displayable space. And then because it's a track, you can add,
vertical size,
as
like
much
different
as you want.
sizes.
Yeah.
I like the concept of the different sizes. One thing that I do feel a little like handicapped on when it comes to mine is, like you said, the way that I've run the lights per section means that I can't now change the height of those shelves. So I'm very much committed to 6 scale, or like anything much bigger than a Thanos won't fit. Like the Thanos fits no problem, Venom fits in there no problem, but after I think it's about 14 to 15 inches per section, you start to run out of that space.
Yeah.
So I'm very limited when it comes to how much or what I can actually put in there.
Yeah, when I was younger, I had a saltwater like coral aquarium.
Cool. And
at that time, I was kind of like in the mindset as you, like everything needs to be perfectly zip tied, perfectly labeled, perfectly everything fit like a glove. Like it was magnificent. But anytime I needed to maintenance anything, anytime I wanted to change anything, it was hours and hours of undoing cords, redoing zip ties. And ever since then, I've been a little bit more lax on that stuff. Just because it does take a while. And it is nice, don't get me wrong. Like I think it's very, very attractive when it's all set up, but like behind me, it's kind of hard to see, but the shelves back there, you can see all the wires. I had bought fabric to put behind them, and it didn't work, and I'm just so lazy. I don't want to go to the dollar store and get the foam board to put behind there. So when I move to the next not to the next house, but to the garage, once I have everything out, I'm gonna make it nice and neat. But Yeah, there's some really good stuff. Like Walmart, like I said, or Costco rather, has those garage shelving, and even Walmart, like for the statue stuff, like the Rex and the Razor Crest. It's like a 4x4 cube, but you can take out the middle section. So you just basically have a frame. It's very sturdy. You can hold a lot of weight on those, and when you butt them together, they kind of support each other, and then they're also stackable. So I love those for statues. I got some pretty big statues on and in them, and they fit perfectly. Some real tall premium formats.
Cool.
So
May have to
yeah.
get you to link us here, so if anybody's interested in what Zach's chatting about, let us know. We got Thule in the chat. Good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for joining in. We got City Rider. Hello, guys. Mr. MB Dyson in the chat. Hey, all. Happy Sunday. We also have Chedwin Mendoli. Greetings from Spain. Very cool. Thanks for joining in. Definitely appreciate it. We also have Tyria here. Hello, all, he says. And the junk man here says, Ben set up behind his, as the kids would say, da bomb. Love to see it. I appreciate that compliment, good sir. And Eddie Rodriguez as well. Those colors look amazing in the display. They pop like crazy. Thank you. I love the Philips light strips. And I think, like as you guys can see kind of in the image on the screen, you can go the straight white. You can do a little bit warmer lighting if you want to, or you can do the colored lighting, depending on how you want it. And it's about as bright as you would ever need it to be, which is crazy. Now, those Philips light strips are a bit of an investment. I will say they are certainly not cheap. It does take some coin to put them together, but once you have them, I leave them on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They draw very, very little actual electricity, so they cost me virtually nothing to have lighting on in the basement all the time without having to physically turn lights on, which is cool. And as you can see, I still have 2 slots up here that I'm waiting for my InArt Joker to come. I just paid the invoice from 1/6 Kit on what day would that have been? Friday. And they said that I should be getting it kind of in the next, hopefully a couple days, if not a week. So hopefully maybe even by next Sunday, Let's Get Nuts next week, I will have those Jokers in hand and I'll be able to give you guys my opinion. Zach, it's the most I've ever spent on collectibles in one go. With the Canadian conversion, I paid my $110 deposit, and then I paid, I'm not kidding, $1,420 Canadian to get those bad boys in hand. You're muted. So I'm now over $1,500.
Okay, yeah, that's in addition to. God damn.
Yeah, $1,500 into the Jokers. So I've almost canceled them a couple times, and it's hard for me because I love Heath Ledger. I love The Dark Knight. It might actually be my favorite trilogy of all time. But seeing everybody else get them and just not getting the notice that they were coming I was starting to feel like a Captain America situation all over again for me. Like, where's my cap? Where's my cap? Where's my Joker? So I'm excited that it's coming. We've got Will Foxification in the chat as well. 2 sexy collectors. You'll love to see it. Good to see you, buddy. You can always join anytime you are available if you're not walking around talking to your phone. Just make sure your headphone jack is turned on so we can hear that one, Mr. Will. So let's move on here, Zach, because on Wednesday or last week or Thursday, I can't remember exactly what day it was, in the evening I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Volume 3. And I don't want to talk spoilers because I know that there's still a lot of people who haven't seen it. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, Zach, but some folks I see are out there kind of in the community saying this is now officially their favorite trilogy within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Which I think is interesting because there's been a lot of great ones. I mean, I really enjoyed the Iron Man trilogy. 3 was a little on the weak side, but they were still a great collective of films. But the question I have for you, Zach, is not necessarily about Guardians of the Galaxy. But when you think about some of your favorite movie trilogies of all time, do you have a couple in mind that just come to mind immediately with that question? What would it be?
Lord of the Rings, baby.
Yeah, I figured you might say that.
Not The Hobbit. I don't.
Okay.
I only watched the abridged Hobbit that a good friend of mine made. The original trilogy, obviously, I still think I like the Lord of the Rings trilogy better. But yeah, Star Wars original trilogy. The prequels, not so much. Definitely not the sequels. Jurassic Park, the third is pretty bad, but the first 2 are bangers. Godfather, same thing. The third is really bad. Terminator, I think, is really good. The Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah, I mean, there's good films out there. What about you? What do you think are some trilogies that you like?
Well, so it's interesting. So just in case, now that we've got 19 people already here, just so you guys know, we are doing a double nut feature today. And what I mean by that is Collecting Weekly and myself, as well as Marco16Fix, are going to be doing another stream called The Reissue today. And we're actually going to be deep diving the Dark Knight line of figures, because there's been a ton of Dark Knight figures that have been released. And we've had 1.0s, 2.0s, even kind of soft 2.5.0s, and of course now we've got Joker kind of inbound for a lot of people, not with Hot Toys line, but still within art, so still kind of within that realm of Dark Knight. For me, my favorite film trilogy, I think, of all time, if I had to choose one, would definitely be the Dark Knight trilogy. I loved all of them. Now, I understand some folks out there are saying, hey, there are some films that maybe, don't make the trilogy cut because there's extra movies. So it's interesting that that's the case, because I see here MB Dyson saying Lethal Weapon if you ignore 4, 100%. For me, Indiana Jones is definitely one of those where I absolutely loved the first 3. I used to watch these films on repeat as a kid. I really didn't like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It just didn't sit right with me. I'm hoping the Dial of Destiny is good. Maybe I can make it a foursome at that point. But as of right now, it's the trilogy that resonates. I would also say the Back to the Future trilogy. Again, as a kid, I used to watch the shit on repeat. Now, I actually canceled my DeLorean the other day. Zach, I don't know if I told you.
Yeah,
I finally decided to just cancel it. I kept getting delayed notices, and after setting up the display here behind me, I've started to kind of wonder where I'm actually going to put any of this stuff. Like I told you on Collecting Weekly Tuesday last week, I have like the motorcycle from McFarlane and everything with the Batman figure, and even that I'm having a hard time figuring out where I can put in the collection. So at this point, I've decided to say cancel button on the DeLorean and put those funds elsewhere. But I would also say the Matrix trilogy, if you just look at the first 3, are also one of my favorite movie trilogies of all time. At the end of the day, I think it's interesting that there are films out there like Terminator 1 and 2, which to me, I've always thought of Terminator as a trilogy. And it technically is, because it's got more than 3 movies even. But those first 2 are really the bangers, right? And like you want to watch those first 2 all the time. But I definitely want to hear from the chat on that as well. Like, what are your favorite movie trilogies out there? Absolute Irwin says the Matt Reeves Apes trilogy is also a good one.
Yes. Also the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. That's a really good one too.
Oh, yeah. See, there's so many actually. It's kind of ridiculous. So, what else are we
the
saying?
X-Men trilogy from the 2000s. Those are pretty dope.
Got us into like comic book movies again. Kind of showed us what comic book movies could look like, right? Ryan Smith Sear says the $1,000 USD was a hard pill to swallow, but it's an awesome set. I'll think you'll love it. I hope so. I'm worried.
I think Marco said he was only like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 on his. I haven't seen his stream yet, but
like in terms of liking it,
I don't know. That's what someone said, that he was like a little lukewarm on it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, he'll be here in a little bit, so we'll poke him on it.
Hopefully.
12-inch Moose Stream says the Ben Thomas Show. Yeah, it's Canadian dollars though, so not real money. Fair enough.
King's currency.
Can't argue with that. So, let's move on here. So, EXO-6 gave us this little tease the other day, and as you folks would know, I of course am a big Star Trek fan. Now, Zach, I know you're not a huge Star Trek fan. I'm not even sure you know who this character actually is.
It's Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri.
God, that's awful.
Oh my God. This is what he wakes up looking like. You hate to see.
Probably.
This is Mr. Neelix from Star Trek Voyager. Now, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago here, Star Trek Voyager from EXO-6 seems like it's, at this point, the most completed line. And we just got a chance to see what the Harry Kim is going to look like. It looks like shaped butter. It's really, really soft. The Tom Paris is not so great. But then I saw this, and I was like, that actually looks really good. It looks like Ethan Phillips. I like Neelix as a character. I don't like him enough though to only get a Neelix in the collection. It would just be weird to me. I don't know. Like, and a lot of people I should say think that like the Talaxians and Neelix in particular, even on Voyager, is like one of those like super annoying characters that you wouldn't necessarily want to collect. So But to me, this feels like this just kind of proves my point that the artistry that goes behind the EXO-6 lines seems to have a very like roller coaster approach to their quality. You looked at the Harry Kim with me, the molded butter figure that we saw recently.
Yeah.
How do you think that compares to this? Like, even though you don't necessarily know this character, do you think this looks
This
like...
is much better.
Right.
I think the paintwork is much better. I think the big issue that we had with the other one was the paintwork. I like this a lot. I think that the it's hard to tell because we're not seeing the mouth, and I know that obviously is important. And there are some... Looks like there's going to be... Like, if you look at the neck here, looks like it's probably going to be sculpted for that beard or whatever that is. But this looks good. This looks good. I think the hair color... I don't know. Blonde is so hard to paint. A lot of people go with that weird gold color, and I think that's what they're going with. But I mean, just looking at the fade and the transition from like the grayish purple of the skin to the black, I guess, of the spots, I think it looks pretty good. I think on the ridge here, I think it needs more black. If you look at the character, it almost looks like it is spots, but it almost looks like it's an actual line. I don't quite see that here. And I think the yellow spray on the temple looks a bit off, but I think overall, I mean, that's being really nitpicky. I think this looks solid. I like the eyebrows a lot too.
Do you think EXO-6 should stick with sculpted hair? Or do you think that they should make a transition over?
I think at the price points that they're doing, and no offense, but the quality that they're... I still think that they're kind of like a mid-tier quality. Like, some of them are really good, some of them are, perhaps not so good. I actually really like the... I think it was the Admiral Kirk. I think that's probably my favorite one of that they've released. I actually got on the wait list for that one just because I thought it looked so good. I think that at the price point that 180 to 200 and change price point, I think if they did rooted, it's probably going to be like that really crappy doll wig type rooted stuff. So I think this is fine. I don't think that at this price point and as fast as they're trying to bring these figures out, I mean, it took Asmus like a year plus for each batch of their Gandalf, so I don't think that would really be sustainable for the what their production scale looks like.
I think that's a good call out too. I think Asmus, similar level of production, even maybe potentially better production, if they took that long. The reason I mention it is that they've actually solicited a Klingon with rooted hair. And it's the Christopher Lloyd version from The Search for Spock. And it's a banging figure, and the prototype looks pretty good. But I can't imagine what that's going to be like en masse. We got one Star Trek fan in the back room here, so let's get him on. Our Let's Get Nuts regular, Mr. Pete from Only Fools and Collecting OFAC. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in.
Oh, no worries. No, good to be here. Good to be here. Is this Vanilla Ice, yeah? On the left?
It's Guy Fieri.
Vanilla Ice, Guy Fieri.
Donald Trump, I don't know.
Yeah, just see it. Were you a Star Trek Voyager fan? I know you like obviously the OG and even Next Gen, but
no, it was the only one I couldn't really get on with, to be honest.
That's fair.
I just really didn't like Janeway, and I couldn't get past that really.
She's a huge part of the series, honestly. And they had a different actress for her initially, pegged, and then she, like Kate Mulgrew, she took it over at the very last second as Janeway. But they had like already shot a couple episodes with the other actress and everything before they switched it over. MB Dyson says the Star Trek trilogy 2, 4, and 6 if I could pick. So that for me would be Wrath of Khan, I think. Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and Undiscovered Country, if I'm not mistaken.
Voyage Home's 4.
Voyage Home is 4. I like the Undiscovered Country too quite a bit. The kind of the mystery of who shot the Chancellor Gorkon and
So
all
what
of
we
that.
picking our top 3 Star Trek films, are we?
Well, so no, we were just before you got on, we were talking about what our favorite trilogy was, and I mentioned a couple of mine being.
Did anyone
Matrix.
say something that wasn't Star Wars?
Yeah,
because that's just sacrilege.
Quite a few. It was Lord of the Rings. I said Indiana Jones. The OG.
Yeah.
Of course, the Dark Knight trilogy. Zach really liked Lord of the Rings. I figured Star Wars was too easy. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So
I put Star Wars first, Indy second, Lord of the Rings third.
for sure. and
solid.
And you've got quite the indie collection already started, right?
I have. Yeah.
I meant to ask too, Pete, because you missed just the beginning. What's your favorite way to display your collection? Because we were talking a little bit about the display in behind me, but I've never really got a chance to see how your collection is up.
Yeah, I keep meaning to do my collection tour, and now that I've finished my my Lego UCS Razor Crest, I think I'm probably ready to film it. I like mine full and crowded. I've got billies, so they're kind of like twice the width of a DTOF. Yeah, I do like to. I like to create mini scenes, if you like. So I probably on each shelf I maybe got 10 figures, but they kind of like the Star Wars trilogy tells a sort of chronological story through the 3 films. So I like to kind of create scenes, mini scenes. Yeah, I've got an 80s shelf as well, which is getting very packed. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd love to have. I don't think I'd ever be a one man per box
slot,
like yourself. Yeah, I like to tell stories and stuff in mine. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it'd be nice to have. There's some characters in the background that you might not see so easily, but and then it's just kind of spread. So beyond the billies, there's stuff on shelves. There's stuff everywhere. So I like to display my my collection everywhere and in every nook and cranny going.
That's fair. Well, what does your family think about you and your collecting and all of that? Is that something that your family's supportive?
No, my missus couldn't care less. She's it's all in this room. This is where I work. This is where I fall asleep a lot of the time. It's where I podcast from. So it's all very contained. And if needs be, the door can be shut and nobody would be any the wiser. So I don't expect her to appreciate it. She tolerates it. I think she can see some inherent value in it. But aesthetically, she's not a major fan, even though she enjoys the source material and stuff.
Sean is the same way. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I went upstairs and I was like, hey. I was like, okay, all the lights are set up, the cabinets are done. I was like, can I bring you down? I want to show you. I want to show you what it looks like. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, if you're interested. She was like, well. I was like, oh, okay.
I can take it or
I
leave
know
it,
you're not interested, but can I show you anyways?
Yeah, just humor me for 2 minutes.
I felt like such a nerd. I'm like, well, look, I've got my Batman figures up top and my 6 scale
Ben,
down below.
that's when you gotta come back with the same energy when she's talking about nails or girl stuff. You just be like,
Yeah.
make them see how it feels. Ben.
Do you like my toenails? Well, they're nice. Heavy Dyson here says the original Janeway, Genevieve Bejeweled, only lasted a day and a half before she knew it was too rigorous for her, which is crazy. But I can see that the shooting schedule on an episodic show like that must be just absolutely insane. So for this Neelix, I am happy they're doing the rooted hair. If I was going to pick this guy up, I will definitely do a preview video on the Ben Thomas show if you guys are interested in my thoughts more fully once we see the kind of the full solicitation of photos, just like I typically do. I don't think EXO-6 should go down the rooted hair path, despite their solicitation or the preview image that we've seen of what the Klingon hair could look like. I just don't think it would look good in final production from them. Pete, I don't know how many EXO-6 figures you have, or if you have any even at this point. Do you think that they should go rooted hair, or do you think that they should really stick with the sculpted? 0 at this point, he says.
I did have Admiral Kirk, but I moved him on and used the funds to buy myself a new car. No, I didn't really. But I did move him on, but it's funny that they came back in stock for a little bit, considering the prices people are paying on the aftermarket. I don't at the moment, and I'm waiting for the eventual Ruthercon Holy Trinity, and I will buy the shit out of those. But I think they're going to be
100%.
very, very, very far down the line by the looks of it. But no, the quality of the Kirk was very good. I think clothing is their main strength. Very good clothing, tailoring, accuracy. No, don't mess about with rooted hair, because it can really destroy a figure if you do it badly.
It literally can.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So
Like Zach was saying, kind of the Barbie look, right? So
yeah.
let me know in the chat, guys. I know there's a lot of Star Trek fans that follow the channel here. If you guys are interested in EXO-6 and whatsoever, or if you just think that they're interesting to look at, what are your thoughts? Do you guys like rooted hair on your figures? Do you want to see EXO-6 starting to do rooted hair? If not, or if you do, put it in the chat so I know moving forward. Because I will say, hey, community members are interested or they are not whenever I'm reviewing these preview images for sure going forward. And I know for some reason I have Nanjin's attention, whether that's good or bad. I haven't quite decided yet, so it's hard to know with that guy. So, but attention alone anyways. So let's move on. I saw this pop up on Mondo Toys News the other day, and of course this is Harley Quinn on the way for their 1/6 scale Batman the Animated series figure line, and I'm feeling really conflicted lately, boys, because on one hand, if you like see up above me here, all the top shelf of my display is all Batman the Animated Series lineup, set the 7-inch line, and I've got a ton of them, not all of them, but a ton of them, and I love them. They're beautiful. I love the coloration. I like the way they look in that scale. And I've been trying to talk myself out of buying the Batman Mondo Joker and the Batman and the Mr. Freeze and some of these others that have kind of come along. Like, this Mr. Freeze looks amazing, but it looks exactly like the 7-inch scale that I have. These guys, the Joker, the Batman, again, same thing. They look fantastic in 1/6 scale, but they also look identical to what I have already. So I guess the question is, since I'm a 1/6 scale collector and I am trying to make or strategize my collection in a certain way, do you think that these make sense for collectors if you already have the smaller scale lineup? Or do you have to be like a super fan to buy both? Pete, I want to hear from you first. Do you like these lineup of Mondo Toys offerings, or do you have a preference? Would there be another animated series show you'd want these types of figures from Mondo from?
I was never really. I know this, I was never really into animated, and that's not from a point of view of that I don't think it was good. I think I was just a bit old at the time, so I kind of wasn't into watching stuff. They look cool. I think I'd be happy with a smaller scale. My only example would be that I've got the 7-inch NECA Turtles, and as much as I've thought about it many times about upgrading to the quarter scales, I'm just quite happy with the small ones. I think they're really good, and I don't really have the room for the quarter scales. So in that, my one example, I'd say that I stay with the smaller stuff, and I always like to have a smattering of smaller scale stuff around. It's the sort of stuff that we all do. You have at your desk. You pick it up and you play with it. You pose it. Whereas with your 1/6, I kind of get it where I want it, and I don't tend to touch it. I mean, these. I think I said on the last show that if you've got a dedicated area for these, if you've got a cube or what have you for them, and you kind of display them within their own little setting, then they'll look really good. I mean, how much do these run? Are these getting quite expensive?
These are usually in the $225 US dollar range. So for me, once I get it all the way to Canada, you're looking at probably $300, just a little bit north of that.
And you having to chase these on the aftermarket now, these guys, or
some? So the Joker here, as well as the Batman, these are still available in the non-deluxe versions, at least as of right now. And the Catwoman was available for quite some time. She may now be gone. The Mr. Freeze has been long gone for quite some time. So again, that would be a little bit of a chase. And I know Harley usually, at least in the 7-inch scale, she was really hard to find. So they actually ended up doing a 2.0 version of her in the smaller scale, which then kind of diluted the value, to be honest, unfortunately.
What would I like? What animated series? I was excited and then disappointed at those recent Dungeons and Dragons animated series figures that came out. Very sort of cheaply done and not very great. I mean, I would love to have 6-scale versions of that team, either in with proper clothing and stuff, or just with the plastic molding. So yeah, I mean, I haven't bought those. I thought that that'd be great, but I mean, I see lots of posts from like you guys, like they were on sale in Walmart for like $14 and stuff. Man, I've not seen them less than £26 over here, and I'm not paying that for something that's got about 10 points of articulation and stuff. So yeah, that would be great to have those in 1/6. But
That's fair.
D&D.
Fair enough. Blue Tattoo says, I like what Mondo is doing, but I'd prefer if they used materials or fabric cloths or clothes. I kind of agree with that. I'm not going to lie. Like, who else said it here? Let's see. I want to see. Shiny. He says, I feel like all they did was make the normal figures into 1/6 scale so they could charge normal 1/6 sale prices. And that is a bit of a unique take because that's, again, a little bit how I feel. The paint applications, for example, on the 7-inch, when you bend them at the joints and stuff, you'll see a little bit of flaking. They really just do look like 1/6 scale versions of what I already have. If they had material outfits and everything and like really felt true to 1/6 scale, otherwise like quality level, and just had animated sculpts, I think that could be cool. But also, like, when we saw the Clone Wars animated Obi-Wan recently and Anakin, some people loved those. Some people just absolutely hated what they looked like when they got them in hand. And they came with the cloth outfits, right? So that's not to say that that's even going to necessarily bring it up in quality. Zach, what lines do you want to see in smaller scale move into a larger 1/6 scale animated version if you had the choice? Because I know you do collect quite a bit of smaller scale animated stuff.
I mean, I think all the lines that I collect already have. This is just for animated, is the question?
Yeah, if you were looking for them to be like in an animated series.
I don't know. I mean, I think because they do the X-Men line already, so they have the Batman line also.
For sure.
There's small scale stuff that I would like to see in 1/6 scale, but they're not animated. The Joy Toy Warhammer stuff, I think that would make a really cool 1/6 scale figure, but those would be massive. But no, I don't really think off the top of my head I can really think of anything. I think Sideshow expanding, or if Mondo did step into the animated Spider-Man from the 90s, I think that would be really cool.
Ooh, yeah, 100%. But again, such a slippery line. Same thing that I'm feeling with the animated Batman series, right? Like all of the villains in Spider-Man, like that, like just it could go crazy, right? Did you end up picking up the Miles Morales from the Spider-Verse? I can't remember.
No, I want to. I just haven't.
Still on your.
I've got the first one, the Hot Toys one, not the Bodega Cat, but the first one.
The first one, you like it, eh?
Yeah, it's a great figure.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
really
that's
good.
another one I've been considering bringing into my 1/6 scale collection. But again, it's very like, at least if you keep the mask on, it doesn't. It can I think can fit in with the rest of the movie realistic versions. But MB Dyson says, I got sick of waiting on more Mondo and picked up a bunch of vintage Batman animated 12-inch figures last year. Now they are at it again, and I'm undecided. So that is something that I've noted. So the line that I showed you guys up here, the Poison Ivy I got, for example, on eBay is going for $225. So and like she's just like that 7-inch scale, right? Or maybe just slightly slightly under. So some of them in the aftermarket have been going crazy. And of course, now we're seeing that McFarlane Toys is doing their own Batman the Animated Series lineup, going through, I think, Walmart's in the States. And they've already released a 4-pack that has a Bullock and everything in there. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the value of these originals, because, as I said, they'll never maintain the 225 if they start reissuing the plastic, obviously, right? So unless you keep them in the boxes, and I do not keep them in the boxes, my friends. So that's the way she goes. But the question is for you out in the chat there as well, guys. Are there any animated lines from the past that you'd like to see in 1/6 scale? The Ninja Turtles, for me, even though it's not animated from the 90s film, I would still really like to see those in 1/6 scale, even though I have the NECA Turtles. But I agree with you, Pete. Those NECA Turtles are amazing, actually. Like they are really good. They look like screen grabs from the film.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah,
they're amazing.
Pretty well there.
And I don't have the room for quarter scale, so I would consider going up to a 6 scale on those potentially. But we'll see. So yeah, I'd love to hear from the chat. What animated series do you guys want to see? Keep an eye on Mondo Toys though, if you guys like animated style, because they do have the X-Men line. They've got the Gargoyles line, I believe. Oh no, I apologize. They've got the Masters of the Universe line, the He-Man line, as well as the Batman line.
Yeah.
And the Masters of the Universe line is actually growing pretty quickly. I will be curious to see what that Harley Quinn looks like in 1/6 scale, though. I think it will probably look pretty good. Next, we've got this tease from Mars Toys for Cara Dune. Now, obviously, I think this is something that collectors have been looking for. Obviously, since the first season of Mandalorian, she was an obvious miss when it came to hot toys, and not getting her out before she had her run-in with Disney and was kind of taken off the show. For me, I don't feel like I actually need a Cara Dune in my Mando collection at this point. Since she's been gone this last season, I thought she was a great character. I like the actress who played her, all of the things. But I didn't feel like she was necessarily a missing element from the show this third season that I felt like it was a must-have. Zach, I know you had your various thoughts on Mando Season 3 specifically. And as we know, as just TV watchers in general, not every season's always going to be a banger. There are shows that are still wonderful shows that have, slower seasons and stuff. But do you feel like you need a Cara Dune in your collection to go with your Mandalorian? Because I know you like your I think it's your Beskar Mando that you've got, right?
I think she's a really important character. Obviously, if you look at most people's Mando's collections, they have IG-11 and Queel. I think that at the moment, the line is incomplete without Cara Dune. So yeah, absolutely. I think you can obviously pair it with the first Beskar. I think technically the second Beskar also. I don't believe in the show. I think he was already full Beskar by the time he met her in episode 3. So yeah, I certainly think so. I think it is a figure that it's a shame, because of outside reasons, that we don't have a Hot Toys of. Hopefully one day that can be corrected, but Mars Toys doing it. I mean, it doesn't seem like an overly complicated figure. Just a few pieces of armor, bodysuit, and a gun, and a portrait. So, yeah, I think this is going to be one that they're going to do pretty well. I think the portrait right now looks really good. I'm excited to see what they do with it. But yeah, I think it's a necessity.
Little Imperial tattoo on there,
Yeah,
or a Rebel
I
tattoo.
think so.
I think it is actually, right? Or is it Imperial
Yeah,
or Rebel? I can't
it's
remember.
the Rebel.
Rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need that for sure. But I agree with you. I like the sculpt so far from what we see. Obviously, coming down to the paint apps is going to be important, but Mars has shown that some of their paint apps, even with the prankster villain, could be very, very good. Pete, do you think that for Mars Toys, in order to successfully release this figure, that they'd actually have to come up with a custom body for this character? Because she was pretty bulky as a female actress in the show. What do you think?
I don't know, because you really need to go seamless arms, and I mean they don't have any history in that at the moment. Fairly new kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know, and obviously a lot of people aren't fans of those. I've never had any issues with them as such, but although I had my first pleather flaking issue on the Han Solo A New Hope belt, which is a bit weird.
It's annoying.
So I remade one in leather. But it's probably the first issue I've had with that. So yeah, I mean, the sculpt looks good. I think they probably need to soften the jaw a little bit. It's a little bit too chiseled. But I think it'll be popular. I'm like yourself. I'm certainly not interested in having her in my collection. I have one Mando figure, and that's the Durasteel Mando, right next to the hulking great knockoff UCS Razor Crest. Is yours on its way, Zach, or did you order something different?
No, I ordered the one that you sent me, the knockoff version. But
yeah,
I had such a message. The weight seemed odd. It was like 6 pounds, and it should be more than that. It may just be that they were shipping it dimensionally, but
weighs a ton. It's fantastic. I just put it together. I built it ages ago because it's all modular, but I've been waiting for the lighting kit.
Can you shoot a video for the channel? For that? I think it'd be a good review set.
Yeah. But it is massive. How big's the HasLab? How long is the HasLab one? Like a meter?
Like 30 inches. Probably a little under a meter.
Yeah. So this one's, I would say, is nearly as big. And obviously you've got, they're minifig scale. So obviously that HasLab one is not to scale, is it? It's fairly
The HasLab one's probably like 30 to 40% too small.
okay.
Because if you look
Yeah.
at Mando next to the Razor Crest in the show, the door, it's almost like there's two stories in the Razor Crest, like an entry level and then above.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Razor Crest HasLab, it's basically like 1.3 stories tall,
Okay,
so it should
okay.
be a little bit bigger.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like the Lego one is,
But
I know,
Lego
like, it
scale also isn't a great scale either, because the proportions of the minifigs aren't like super accurate.
yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah, but it feels a bit more like it's like more
Yeah.
screen accurate, and that's my my reasoning for buying stuff. I only ever buy stuff where I feel like it's minifig scale. I don't like buying these UCS ones where they're for bigger scale and you just get the little figures with them. I like to have my figures in there and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's brilliant. I will shoot some footage, definitely.
Hell
Definitely,
yeah,
yeah. Make sure you, when you do so and you're on the Sunday show here, let us know so we can take a look at it after the fact, buddy. So, or even pull it up on the show. That'd be a fun little segment, actually. So,
Yeah.
Shiny Signage says Cara Dune here is like John Cena in that she's got a really unique build. Also that we can't see her anymore. I think it'll be interesting. Even if they give her a slightly slender build, I think collectors would just be happy to get her in their collection. But maybe those are for those completionist collectors, because even for me right now, representing my Mando line, all I've got is Mandalorian and Bo-Katan, and I'm actually happy with those two as a bit of a pairing for the Mando setup. I feel like if you are a completionist collector, though, I feel like I can see people's collections just aching without her at this point. So, Absolute Irwin says, we need her in 1/6 scale. Mando Season 1 and 2 is one of the best under Disney Star Wars, and Cara Dune is a very interesting character in that lore. 100%. Eddie Rodriguez also mentions for the collected animated line, I'd love to see Samurai Jack line in 6 scale. Samurai Jack would be a banger line, actually. I could see that. So, but sticking with the Mars Toys lineup, we also got a closer look here at the Riddler, and I at first saw the photo and was like, wow, that looks really good. And then I started looking at photos of the actual actor, and I was like, it's not 100% there. The teeth
And what's
are
up with the mask? They've like cut it
interesting.
out of a piece of carpet.
But that's
It's not even the same material.
it's like the old bath mats that used to be.
I was
going to
say that, yeah.
in the 90s,
Yeah,
early
yeah.
2000s, or like
Yeah.
you had those around the sleeve around the toilet
Yeah, and
lid,
the one
so
on
it
the
wouldn't
top
slam.
of the yeah.
That's a strange material choice. So, and I couldn't find a single reference photo that had that level of material in it. So it made me a little bit less excited. Now, I don't honestly, in full transparency mode here, I honestly don't think I would pick up this Riddler. I do have the other Riddler coming that they've solicited, like the Jim Carrey Riddler, to go with my Batman Forever lineup that I've got behind me. I am not diving into the 66 Batman line. But I think it's cool that people can get this in their collections. It gives me hope that we're going to see an Eartha Kitt. It gives me hopes that we're going to see, the Penguin and maybe some of those other rogues for those folks. Now, I don't know about you, Pete. For me, like, as I said, the 66 Batman is just a little bit before my time. But I can't really even say anything because my 28-year-old brother still absolutely loves the show and watches on repeat. Are you a fan of the 66 Batman line? And would you, like, despite us teasing the mask a little bit, do you think that this is close enough to get you to consider buying it if the price is right?
I'll always have a soft spot for it. I always quite enjoyed it. Kind of watching it on obviously reruns on Saturday mornings and stuff like that. And I did own the Hot Toys Batman and Robin way back in the day, and I sold them on. I ordered the
That's how he got his
Romero.
house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Ordered the Romero
Mance.
Joker. Moved the Mance. Yeah, yeah. No numbers for me.
You fucking
But,
The first time I ever mailed something to Pete's house, he gave me his address, and I was like, well, where's the numbers? He's like, oh, it's just called the Mance. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, yeah, I guess he lives in some fancy house that, is like a castle. He's like, oh, they'll know. I was like, okay,
yeah, they'll know.
They'll know.
The only problem they have is they've got no reference as to when they're delivering something, what's next to what. You've got no frame of reference of where you are in the road. But I think this looks okay. I mean, barring the bath mat mask, which is shocking. I mean, I'm hoping They've just kind of knocked that up just as a, an interim type thing. Yeah, I don't love it enough that I would look to collect them, but I think they're fun and they're colourful and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to seeing the Burgess Meredith penguin because that's a cool character. But
that is a cool character.
Yeah.
100%. Fair enough. And it does look like maybe they're teasing two different head sculpts with this figure.
Yeah.
So they got the open mouth portrait and the closed. This was the only photo I could see of his teeth, Frank Gorshin's actual teeth. And I think the teeth are actually closer than I would have expected. Like, looks
They're
better
not
than
bad.
the Ant-Man teeth that we saw not that long ago.
And I think wouldn't be surprised if they had three heads because they seem to be setting a precedent for that.
That's
because
true.
The Joker came with three.
That's true.
Willy Wonka's got three.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's great value for money that you get so if you get three with this as well.
It's wild.
So many
Oh,
people
sorry.
got that Joker, right? So do you feel like, Zach, that they, like, if you got that Joker and Mars is going into this line, like, should you consider pre-ordering this figure, or is it still based on that, like, only if you like it type of feel? Like, do you feel like you need to build the line with these guys, I guess is the question.
I think so I haven't ever seen. I think I've seen a movie from 1966, or maybe it was a one or two.
Yeah,
episodes.
there was a movie.
Okay, so it was the one where the shark and the helicopter. I think
That's the
movie.
shark repellent. Yeah, at the beginning.
Okay, yeah. So I don't
With the big bomb running around with the
yeah. So I don't have a huge frame of reference for this show, so I don't know how big of a part of the show the Riddler plays. But if it is a significant part, I think as a collector you got to think Hot Toys certainly isn't probably going to be doing
what's
this.
that? Is that Scotty playing? Scotty from Star Trek playing the
Yeah, it
Riddler
looks
there?
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if you're a big fan of this, or if this is your Batman, I think you take any figure you can get that's of a decent quality. I think the mask looks pretty bad, but given how good their prank villain and the Wonka prototype looks, I hope that they will change it. But yeah, Pete's right. These third-party companies are coming out with crazy figures lately. Like the Homelander that we're unboxing tomorrow in CW, it has 5 portraits. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
you would
really
never
excited to see that
You would
one.
never see a Hot Toys with 5 portraits.
No,
Yeah, man.
no.
I would say that the 4 that you see here, so the Joker, Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman, those are kind of the main 4 in this show. Like, they're the most reoccurring
Yeah,
ones,
and
would
I
say.
think that's from the movie there, where they kind of team together as an ultimate villain, super villain team kind of thing.
For sure. We got Joker J in the chat. Of course, he's excited to be
is,
here,
yeah.
as you can see. And Frank Gorshin is the only Riddler. And my buddy Josh, he says that the same thing. If there's a Riddler, it's Frank Gorshin. That is the guy for him. So I know that there will be collectors out there who are very, very excited about this figure. But
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from the chat as well. Is this one that you guys are considering actually buying, or are we crazy? Are we out to lunch? Should we demand a little bit more from Mars Toys? Keep in mind the price is pretty low. So if we get a figure like this with multiple head sculpts, and the only nitpick is that he's got like a towel seat cover for cup, for glasses or goggles, I'm
Yeah,
okay. I'm
yeah.
okay with for mask. I'm okay with that.
I think they'll improve that. I think that's just
They definitely might, right?
Yeah.
So, let's move on from the Riddler here. Oh, gave you a little Frank
here's
Gorshin
again.
picture as well, just in case you forget. This guy popped up on my radar the other day, of course, mostly being Facebook. And it's funny, I'm not a Facebook guy by any stretch. I'm terrible at remembering people's birthdays. The only reason I go onto Facebook at this point is for figure pictures. And the T800 here from, I believe it's Present Toys, I would have to double check that,
yeah.
popped up on the feed the other day. And the picture on the left is from 1/6 Kit, or Kit himself. He posted a solicitation photo of the figure, getting it actually in hand. So thank you to Kit for posting that. I think this guy looks pretty good, especially with the glasses on, like the sunglasses. I think it's kind of nice. And, for the price point we're looking at, like this comes with a lot of good stuff. And I missed, like, I've been collecting for 10 years. I way missed the Terminator lineup, and an Arnie in my collection needs to happen at some point. I still think that Hot Toys may reissue some Terminator lines down the line. It would not surprise me. But this guy could be an extremely good stand-in figure. So Zach, I'll start with you first. Have you ever considered going backwards and collecting any of the Hot Toys Terminator line? Or would you be waiting for those issues in the future and potentially pick up something like this for your collection in the meantime?
So I have a personal rule that whenever a Hot Toys gets above $500 in the aftermarket, I'm not interested in pursuing it. I think Hot Toys has shown a trend that when figures get, $5, 6, 7, even $1,000, like those are prime reissue targets. And I just don't want to buy something at that price if there is even a slim chance that it's going to get reissued. There are probably some lines from Hot Toys that are safe, more niche characters, but it would bum me out, especially the way that Hot Toys collect. It's not like other hobbies, right? Like comic collecting or trading cards. The older stuff holds value a lot better. With Hot Toys, I think, as much as the DX T2 Terminator, as much as people like it, if Hot Toys announced a new one tomorrow, Hot Toys collectors have that mindset where the latest is the greatest. So I don't know that it would hold value, and I wouldn't want to spend a bunch of money only to have it essentially go down the drain with the reissue. So no, I haven't gone back yet, but I think this looks fantastic. I think perhaps the smirk or frown or smirk, whatever you want to call that, is a bit exaggerated. It doesn't feel right.
A little extra pouty, for sure.
With the glasses, though, I think is certainly iconic and recognizable. I know there's some people. If you can go back one slide. Some people are complaining about the neck and the way that it meets the figurehead, but I think that's just something you have to live with in 6 scale. I think most even Hot Toys figures, or even the figure that this is based off of, they do kind of look like that to get that articulation and not have any paint rubs. So, I can look past that. I'm not ever going to look at the back of the figure like that. But I think from the front, I think it looks good. So yeah, I don't have this one on order, but I've ordered this is Present Toys, right?
Yeah.
I've ordered enough Present Toys stuff that I would give you guys the thumbs up. And
You'd feel
I want to
confident
say, Ben, with this one, isn't this leather for the jacket and the
That's what they said.
pants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm not sure. A lot of people were saying that I got the Present Toys Indiana Jones, and to me the jacket smelt like leather, and I weathered the crap out of that, and I screwed it up and everything, and I don't think pleather would have stood up to that. A lot of people are saying that they don't think it's leather. I don't know. So, that was the thing. They did make a point of saying this was all going to be leather, but whether it's pure leather or whether it's some kind of hybrid leather, I don't know. I like to think it is leather, and to say that the indie jacket certainly felt that way to me. But I mean, I've got no way of really checking that in any scientific way.
I feel like at least with a Terminator figure, if the jacket goes to shit, you can just call it battle damage.
Well, yeah.
Over the course of those films, he just gets destroyed anyways.
Yeah.
So
and there's another version of this, the battle damage one, which isn't out
that's
yet.
right. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Ryan Smith asks, is anyone picking up the RoboCop? So if you're meaning the one from Hot Toys, the RoboCop 3 version, I have that on pre-order. While I would say that RoboCop 3 is probably my least favorite of the 3 initial films anyways, clearly the mouth plate looks a lot like Peter Weller. So I'm like, ooh, I think... even though that's not the same actor from the third film,
yeah, they just reused the mouth.
They just reused the mouth.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because he looks like, especially without the jetpack on, to me in my mind's eye, anyways, just like RoboCop 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna put that
nobody's
jetpack on,
gonna
are they?
No, I don't think so. It's going to be that one accessory that you spent extra for to just sit in the box. But are you guys getting the RoboCop?
No, I've got original RoboCop. Damage RoboCop, Murphy, Ed 209. I'm good.
You said you do have Ed 209?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I've got Ed 209. I've got the original RoboCop, diecast RoboCop, the Battle Damage one, and Murphy.
Jeez.
So I'm pretty good
you are good.
Just haven't got the chair. That's all, and I'm not bothered about that because I heard that did bad things to the figure. So.
Oh really? Like what? If you don't mind me asking.
Paint rub and stuff, I think.
Oh, okay.
So
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I thought you maybe had like some industry secret that we could.
No. Just
that here,
Yeah, I think there was some sort of interaction between the plastic and the die cast or something, and it takes up a lot of space. So I'm happy not having that. But yeah, the rest of the stuff, it's great. Yeah, and if I didn't have them, I'd happily pick up that RoboCop and just never take the jetpack out of the anything to do with RoboCop 3 can stay in the box. And it looks more like that RoboCop 2 one, doesn't it, with that slight bluish tinge as well. So you could easily have that as like a part 2.
Very cool. Emmy Dyson says here, I recently got 2 older 12-inch Terminator figures from McFarlane and NECA, and both are pretty good and money savers, I'm sure.
I've owned a couple of the Hot Toys. I had the is it the Police Shootout, T800 Police Shootout. Really cool. I loved the light up battle damage head was good. I did have the Tech Noir, and I had a DX13 for a while, but I moved that on quite quickly. It's funny, I absolutely love Arnie. I worship the man, and the day that he stopped acting to become a politician was very sad. And we lost 15, 20 good years of Arnie. He's back now, but he's not as good. But the Terminator just never. I think I watched the first one far too much as a young teenager, and I kind of got a bit jaded with it. I appreciate the films and the technicalities, but it's just one of his characters that I've never really felt any love for in the same way that Conan, Dutch, things like that. So I always think I need a Terminator in my collection. I buy one, I have it for a little while, and then I'm like, I can move this on. So I don't have one at the moment, and I think I'm happy with that. But you never know. But this does look good for the money as well.
I would love to get a die-cast endoskeleton in 1/6 scale. I think that would be pretty cool. But from like the Terminator Judgment Day film, like the second film, I think that type of robot would look pretty cool. And of course, everything going on with AI technology lately, everybody keeps referencing Skynet. So the end of the world's coming with ChatGPT. Pete, I was playing around on ChatGPT a couple weeks ago, and I asked it to write me a 200-word story about Zach from Collecting Weekly. And it was a beautiful story. Yeah, Zach was a very generous person in there. I think he bought a toy, he gave it away to some young child, and it was good, and it was exactly 200 words. So,
wow,
it's really fun. And then I also asked it to write me a story about why Dean the Dream Martin is such a sweet guy and why he is the Dream, and it also wrote a very nice story. So if you guys are bored at work, ChatGPT will create some great stories for you guys for sure.
Wow.
For this figure, I might actually get this one. Terminator 2 especially obviously is one that I watched on repeat as a kid. I've never had a chance to get an Arnie in my collection. This is kind of that look that I would want.
You need an Arnie.
I think so. I think this one's going to come. But I'm also really excited about that RoboCop. So that's a good call, Ryan Smith there. Mr. 166 Marco says he's on my way. He's listening from the car right now. You'll love to see it. I hope Gigi's driving and that you are safe, good sir, not watching the Let's Get Nuts from the road too hardcore. So let's move on, because this guy also popped up in my feed the other day, and I need to rely on the community here a little bit. I know that this is from an Amazon Prime television show. That is all I know about this character. I do not know anything. But yes, thank you. I used to watch Beetleborgs as a kid like crazy. I had the green. I still have the green one in my like little 7-inch collection. This is not Beetleborgs, but like it is
just
really
weird that he's got like the
freaky looking.
Yeah.
So if anybody's seen this show on Amazon Prime, please let us know what it is. This is definitely not something that's going to come to my collection.
No.
But it's a really unique 1/6 scale offering just anyways. Is this something that you guys would ever see like going like super bargain bin that you might buy as like some kind of villain for your heroes to fight? No. Flat no. Hard no.
No. I think it's like super niche, and if you're into it, you're going to buy it up. I don't think it's going to be something there's going to be loads of it kicking around at bargain bin prices. I think
it is really creepy with the teeth.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, it's really. 12-inch Moose Stream says it's the the Kamen Rider. Or Kamen Rider on Amazon Prime. I'm gonna now watch that show just to get a bit of a feel for it.
Bro, watch Merlin, bro.
And B says Dark Ant-Man.
Jesus. Apparently, when you start watching that, you can't ever finish
You
it.
can never finish. You
It's so
never
good.
will
It's
watch
like-
anything else ever.
It's like an
again.
endless loop.
It keeps piling up, Pete. It's like it's so good you don't want it to end, right?
Piling up. There's
Like
about
Queen
30
Elizabeth, right?
episodes.
She didn't want it to end.
yeah.
It was 70 plus years.
Yeah.
I don't want Merlin
yeah.
to end. It's so
Jo-
good.
Joker J says ChatGPT told me you were related to Celine Dion. Well, fair enough. My heart does occasionally go on most for Dean though, most of the time. So yeah, I don't have much to say about this one other than yeah, it's really freaky weird looking and it's
it
got
is weird.
teeth. I don't know.
His eyes light up.
If it was like an $80 figure, like I don't think it'll ever go that low. But if it was like $80,
Come on, man.
I would get it for like I would
Take
get it
Sean
for
out to
like
a nice dinner. Come on.
no, I would get it for
Yeah.
like Captain America to be smashing, in the back room here, or like in a fighting way, not in
Buy
like a
some weed,
sexual
man.
hot
Don't
way.
buy
No.
don't buy this.
Just
Come
buy
on.
some weed.
Yeah, definitely. They have a lot more fun with yeah.
You have a lot more fun. You hate to see it.
Or when is this Doug from Hot Shot Comics? Love it. Oh, we are on his ass though.
That's what his soul looks like.
I just watched
fine.
that video last night. Yeah,
haven't
I had no
I
idea what
haven't
it was all
had a chance to
about,
catch
but
up.
yeah.
I've not had a
I
chance to
understand
catch
now.
up on it.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, collecting weekly. You guys put out so much content. I have to like stagger it throughout the week, and I'm on one of the shows, so that just goes to show you. So, let's move on. So we talked a little bit about Guardians, the film, earlier today. But of course, Hot Toys has kind of given us this little teaser image. Now, it's interesting when they do this because it's still a pretty bright image considering. Like, I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what these figures are going to look like. After seeing the film, Pete, have you seen the new
No, I'm
Guardians yet?
seeing it tomorrow morning. So
I don't think you'll be disappointed. I really enjoyed it myself. I don't want to give much away, obviously, but I enjoyed it. I more than I even expected I would, and I was going in with pretty high expectations.
yeah, I really enjoyed the other two. So yeah, I'm expecting
For sure.
good things.
What I think I'm most excited about from this particular image is that Rocket has a closed mouth. I haven't liked some of the previous Rocket figures that have come out. He always has the same head sculpt. It seems like with like the angry yelling head sculpt, and that works if he's propped up on Iron Patriot, for example, in your Endgame display. Like that can look really cool and badass. But otherwise, if you have him just kind of posed up with the other Guardians, he looks really aggressive in comparison. So, and of course, I really liked the Christmas special that had come out featuring Mantis and Drax. But I never collected any of the Guardians line. So Zach, start with you first. Have you collected any of the Guardians lines over the last couple of years, or sold them, or like have you just kind of avoided the Guardians line altogether in 6 scale?
I've owned Star-Lord, the first version with the long coat from Volume 1, and that's it. But I do have Rocket, Star-Lord, Mantis, Drax, and Groot from the Marvel Legends line, and then I'm going to be picking up Nebula when I get paid. Also, okay, so I haven't seen the movie, so maybe this is a stupid question, but Marvel Legends left Gamora off of the Wave 1, which had pretty much all the characters. It had the dude with the arrow, and then the orange dude. I don't know what their names are. And this doesn't have Gamora.
Arrow
so
guy and orange dude. That's the
I don't know what the fuck their names are. Fucking, who knows? Is she not in this movie? I thought I saw her in the trailer.
She is in the movie. She's just not an official part of the Guardians team anymore.
Oh, I
because
see.
after Endgame, like she
Yeah,
came
yeah.
back, right?
Yeah,
but
okay.
didn't really remember anybody. So she's in it, but she's not part of the official.
I
Well,
see.
she's an earlier version, isn't she, from the other?
Yeah,
the
she
universe,
didn't have
so
any of
she-
the history with
Correct.
the
Yeah.
group, right? So
Yeah.
which is an interesting part of the film, to be honest. So again, won't say any more than that. So Jose G Hernandez says, does anybody know where to order the present toys? Terminator. Take a look on 1/6 kit. So 1/6 SIXTH kit. You may be able to find him there. One of the
Yeah.
solicitation photos had him up, so he might already be gone. It is hard to know. Sometimes they go quick.
Yeah, the thing with a kit, they tend to get an allocation, and they do sell out, and they take them off once they've filled that stock. But yeah, it's worth having a look. But yeah, I tend to find
Sometimes-
that. Yeah,
Sometimes you also have to be logged in to see it on their website, which I think
Yeah,
is
that
like
was
a
weird
relatively
with that.
it's a relatively new
Yeah.
thing. But for Wonka,
yeah,
Marco's By the way, I'm not sure if you saw that, but Marco's in the back. I think.
I'm just gonna make him sit there for a second. Let him sweat.
sit there.
Yeah.
He was just late. What the heck?
What a guy! Look at him. He's. You look like you just unloaded a shed, good sir.
Oh, it was a heavy ass shed too. What a my dad gave birth to me, so well, I guess my mom did technically. So you can't really say no to him when he asks.
I almost
move a
agreed
shed.
with that. Like, yeah, fair. Nah.
That's right. He provided the seed. She did most of the work, but
Well,
That's awesome. Mr. Marco from 1-6 Fix in the house. Thanks for joining in, buddy. Better late than never, I always say. Good to
Never
have
late
you
is
here. I'm happy to have some represented, some tan in the
Wow.
group here because the rest of us are
Very-
looking
He's
pretty
Looking a
good.
little bit
brown.
pale.
He's very
yeah.
brown.
Yeah.
So I have to
Oh, man.
turn on pink lights just to give me any type of illumination. It is good. It's good to see you, buddy.
Thank you for the
I saw your
invitation.
no worries. I saw your comments saying that you were watching from the car, so probably mostly caught up for the most part here. But look, there you go. Jose G. Hernandez says kit sold out on the
Yeah.
Terminator.
Yeah,
I hate
yeah,
to
yeah.
see it. Marco, do you know anywhere else where they might be able to find that Present Toys Terminator? I'm trying to think.
I don't. I have, I've been looking, and Jose has been mentioning 1-6 Outfitters, I believe. So remind me, Jose, if that's the name of where you got your Joker. But I've seen a few third-party things there. Now that's for domestic, for U.S. folks, and it's pretty marked up as well. But in terms of like getting So-So Toys or some of those other harder to find third-party figures, it could be a good option.
Cool. Marco, we're talking a little bit about Guardians. Now, we're not going into any spoilers because there's still a lot of folks who haven't seen it yet. I really enjoyed the film, and I like that they've given us a bit of a solicitation or a little excitement around this post from Hot Toys. I was saying that I'm excited that Rocket's mouth is closed on this figure. However, when I look at this figure lineup, I gotta think that, American dollars, you're looking at probably about a $3,000 investment. For me, that's more like $4,500, which is insane. So as much as I liked the third film, and as much as I liked the Guardians, official kind of trilogy within the MCU, that is a tough nut to swallow. I do not know if I could justify that kind of coin. Do you? I don't know if you've seen the film yet. If you have or haven't, would you consider building out a Guardians line at this stage? Now that this is our last kind of run with this particular group of characters.
Yeah, so I have seen the film, really enjoyed it. I don't know that I would go down this line that deep, honestly. I'm okay with mixing and matching. I know we've had this debate before, but I've got the Infinity War Star-Lord. I am intrigued by this Drax because you can get around a lot of the issues that the other figure had because of the suit. And I would just assume that would be the only option. They wouldn't let you take the coat off. But the one not pictured here that I would be most interested in is a Gamora. If they have really kind of abandoned most of the rooted hair versions of figures, I think a sculpted hair Gamora would be awesome. Because that sculpt was already very strong, but the rooted hair was already just like, I don't think it's strong enough to for me to consider adding. But I think that'd be the one. But I wouldn't go too deep down this line. Maybe Drax, maybe Gamora, maybe Rocket if he was marked low enough. But yeah, to add all of these it's just asking too much for a film that's good, but I don't know that it's like great and that you want to spend $3,000 on. So
It's a huge lineup. And as I was watching the film, as much as I enjoyed it, I actually felt like my wallet was relatively safe. I didn't feel like I needed to have even these particular outfits. I think they're okay. I didn't hate them. I know that they're kind of representative of what we've seen from comics in the past. But I kind of liked them all looking a little different and a little eclectic and having some flair in their outfits and I really didn't like the team up suit from Avengers Endgame. I never really liked the team up Tony look and how they were all wearing the same outfit just with a different head sculpt. Obviously, they wouldn't be able to get away with that as well here because they're all various sizes. But I don't know. I felt like my wallet was relatively safe. We got teased, or I should say solicited, this Groot. Now, this is a weird one from me from the film, because even though I thought there was some really cool scenes with Groot, and again, not going to any spoilers by any stretch, I still think I like Groot from Groot Guardians, or Guardians of the Galaxy 1 the most. If I had to pick a definitive Groot, I think the tall tree-looking guy from the first film is my favorite. But Zach, what would you say is your definitive Groot if you were going to pick one up at this point? Because I've still seen the original one actually going for reasonable pricing.
So I didn't like this Groot's look in the holiday special, but I think it changed a bit, and I like it much more now. I haven't seen this movie, but from the trailers, I like the look of this one the best. The old Groot was really cool too. I would say this one and the first one are probably pretty close. The little potted plant Groot and then teenage Groot, not really a big fan. He was kind of an asshole. So yeah, but this one looks really cool. I like the I haven't seen the movie, but the Hot Toys, the deluxe, has like the sprouted arm effect, so yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, same question for you, Marco. What would you say at this point, now that you've seen all three films, is your definitive Groot?
All right, this maybe is a hot take, but I still think Baby Groot is the best. Like, just rewatched Volume 2 before starting, going to see Volume 3. In the beginning scene where he's dancing around, like, that's just the coolest version of Groot to me. Obviously, when he's souped up and overpowered, it's fun to watch, but I just, like, have such affection for Baby Groot. So I've got a little miniature, I want to say it's from Star-Lord from Volume 2. Although I do have the Infinity War, I went back on eBay and got the little tiny Baby Groot. And I think that that's enough representation for me until we see other versions, which may have been hinted at, down the line. So I think I'm okay with passing on this one.
It'd be interesting going from Guardians 2. So if you watched Guardians 1, 2, and 3 back to back, it'd be weird going from Guardians 2, where he's still like the Baby Groot size, to this hulking bastard all of a sudden. Like, it would just kind of feel like it came out of nowhere. Obviously, there's some time in between, but I didn't realize that there was that much time in between for him to get from being so teeny to so hulking.
I think he grows fast.
Again, I mean, he grows like a tree.
There was an end credits scene, wasn't there, on Guardians 2, or
right.
one of the movies where he was a teenager by then and he was playing video games and stuff. He was being an arse. So yeah. I think he grows pretty quick.
For sure. What's your favorite version of Groot at this point, Pete?
I've not seen the movie yet, so I'll see it tomorrow. I think in terms of the figure and the making, this looks really good. It looks really well done. I quite like the head sculpt. I like the one with the open mouth. So I don't know. I used to have the old knockoff, the original Groot, and he was cool with Rocket. Obviously, it's a much bigger figure, so maybe a bit harder to fit into your display. But yeah, for me, probably the original version. But this looks like a good figure. And obviously, if I like him in the film, I won't be picking them up. But yeah, it looks like a good figure at least.
For sure. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if all we got was Groot? I know that they've solicited the full team, but I don't ever totally trust Hot Toys until they actually give us the solicitation photos.
King Shark.
Yeah, and even then sometimes I'm like, yeah, not exactly. King Shark's a perfect example. I loved Suicide Squad, the second film. It was amazing. The fact that we, at least we have a Peacemaker to team him up with, I guess, if you want it. But the fact that you had to go
then you get Bad
third
Batch,
party otherwise.
Which I didn't expect them to complete that line. So
I did not expect them to complete that. That is a great call. And they even have different outfits from the second season already, right? So
yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. What is your favorite Groot version? MB Dyson says, love Baby Groot. Niculio, great and powerful. Good to see you here, buddy. Says, I'm content with Baby Groot. But this one's tempting. Super cool. And once you see the film, Zach and Pete, I'd be curious to follow up with you guys again to see if that has changed for you, if you're more interested in it now.
Yeah,
so,
I've seen it in about 10 hours time. So I'll,
for sure.
Nice.
We're hovering around 25 people in the chat. We do have about 20 minutes left of the stream. Like I mentioned at the beginning, just in case you guys have missed it, we are having a double nut feature today. So once Let's Get Nuts, that's hard to say, completes, we will be moving over to a show called The Reissue. So make sure you guys get your popcorn ready. We'll have about a 5 to 10 minute intermission between
Get the
shows.
nut ready.
Double nut feature is so horrendous. I hate that so much.
Double nut feature. That's what it's called now officially. I got to name it. You guys didn't
Amazing.
have a choice. so stick around for that. We got CT603 in the chat here. He says, hey guys, what's up? Chatosphere, good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for joining in. So let's move into what we have seen over this last week. Now, both through the collector community, as well as the figures themselves from Hot Toys. Obviously, we had May the 4th, and then, of course, May the 5th. Within the last couple days here, we're now May 7th, if anybody's watching on the replay. And there seems to have been a very divided community out there of people who are very, very happy when it comes to what we got from Hot Toys for 6-scale releases. And then there are a few folks out there feeling devastatingly disappointed. And I'm curious where you guys kind of land on the spectrum here. So if you're listening on audio, we've got a screen grab here of Darth Vader saying his famous "no" line. First all we see on May 4th evening was Clone Commander Fox. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, I am still not through all of the Clone Wars. So I really don't have a good basis of feel for this character at all. It looks cool. I like the outfit. I like the color scheme. It's not even one of the names of like the Clone Wars like figures that I'm constantly aware of. You know, we always hear about Cody and we always hear about some of those others, but Fox isn't one that's kind of come on my radar before. So when I saw this pop up, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's another figure or another trooper, but I was very lukewarm on it. Pete, I know you collect quite a bit of Star Wars 6 scale. What was your thoughts on Fox? Have you finished the Clone Wars, and is this one that you are considering?
No, I'm way behind. I'm only on I think early second season because I just watch it with my son. But yeah, I just look at these and go, oh, not another clone. I'm really done with clones, and it just seems like, I mean, I get there's a lot of different things on this, so it's not necessarily just a lazy kind of re-release, but at the same time, yeah, there's nothing for me. I don't know the character, but yeah, I'm kind of, every time I see a clone I just roll my eyes and go, oh, there's another one. So yeah, definitely not for me.
That's, you know, it's interesting because, you know, I almost feel like Hot Toys did it kind of backwards this year. So, you know, we got to see that 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi Vader, which to me, if they'd waited like, what was it, like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
That would have been like an insanely awesome, exciting news break for May the 4th. But then we get this guy instead. It seems like it's almost like it's backwards. Like, I know that Hot Toys doesn't always do things necessarily to plan, right? Like, how many people thought that the Pennywise figure from It was going to come out in October around Halloween, and then we got it in, like, what was it, December, January? It was like they missed it entirely. Like, if they'd released it at Halloween, I probably would have bought one. But, like, because I was in the scary kind of mood. But as soon as I get into, like, the Christmas Santa mentality, I'm kind of like, I don't watch honey horror movies after that certain date, right? Zach, I know you typically collect a lot of smaller scale clones, and I'd say you and Dean, from at least, you know, the majority of the guys that I stream with, have probably the broadest knowledge of who these clones are, why they're important, why we should even care. Tell me about your thoughts on Fox. Is this one that you were like, oh yeah, I'm happy it's out, or you didn't really care?
This one's a weird release. So it's been a while since I've seen the phase 1 of the Clone Wars. So, like, you know, obviously before the troopers switch over to their phase 2 looks. But I don't recall Fox being that important of a character in Clone Wars. Maybe there may have been 1 or 2 arcs with him, but he's really an outlier because there's not a lot of phase 1 commanders. And then not only that, so he's an outlier there with the other commanders, but the troops that he runs with are the they already have those troops, the Coruscant Guards. So, and those are phase 2 only. So to release him in phase 1 is really a head scratcher, because even in the promotional images, I'm not sure if you have them, but they pose him with the Croissant phase 2, and it's just like, why? Like,
Did you say
the
croissant?
armor. Well, it's like the meme, like the croissant trooper.
I'm joking. I know.
It just doesn't make sense.
I'm
Like,
glad you clarified
why-
you were joking. I got a
Yeah,
little
thanks.
hungry after you said it. But.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. To me, this was such a miss by Hot Toys, such a weird release. Like, I don't like it, and I'm with everyone. It was a disappointing May the 3rd, especially after the last 2 years, how crazy it had gotten. I think a lot of us were expecting some really big announcements.
That's fair. And that's, I think, what do they say? Expectation is the killer of joy. And I agree with that. Because I think anytime you go in hyping shit up to yourself, it's really hard for it to be all that fulfilling. I haven't had a chance to watch your stream from earlier today, Marco, but I know you unboxed your 1/6 scale rooted 2-pack Joker. And this has been one, as just buddies over the course of the last year, we and I have gone back and forth and back and forth, and you've told me it's going to be okay and you're going to be fine and just hang in there, good sir, you know, like you'll love it when you have it. Now, I don't want to take too much away from your video, because if you haven't seen it, go over to 1/6 Fix later this evening and take a look at that unboxing with him and Eddie Money Mendez. I know the ladies were involved a little bit. They got to give their takes on a little bit as well. I'm excited for that stream. But very briefly, do you feel like, A, your expectation around the Joker was fulfilled? And do you agree that expectation is the killer of joy when we start thinking about what we want as releases, as opposed to what we may get?
Oh, so on that second point, yeah, expectation is absolutely killer. I think, you know, when we start predicting things in any realm, whether it be films or video games, or when it comes to these figures, or I guess just in our personal lives, once you set that expectation in your head, it's really easy to get disappointed. So absolutely the thief of joy. So I get that thinking where it's like, oh, let's just like level those expectations a bit. But it's hard because it's so much fun to let your imagination run wild. It's like Return of the Jedi is such a sprawling film in and of itself. To think that, you know, if they've already given us 2 other figures, you know, a few weeks prior, then of course they're saving way more for later. And so I would kind of put that on Hot Toys. Ben, that was a really great point that you made, that if they would have just waited, I think folks would have been, you know, extremely thrilled. But because they announced it early, they kind of, you know, blew their nut a bit early. And so...
Yeah, they could have had a double nut. They just had
They could have. That's right, exactly.
They left us all blue balls.
That's right. So their timing was just poor, per usual. Like you said, that's Hot Toys. And can you
They
remind me again what
prematurely busted the nut.
That's right.
Sorry, I'm
Can
so
you
sorry.
remind me again what the first question was?
I'm muting
Just,
myself.
do you feel like you, very briefly, without giving much of your video away, were you happy with your 2-pack Joker?
Yeah,
Now that
yeah.
you've
So
got it?
I've got no
Expectation
problems
versus
with
reality.
spoilers because it was more, you know, about Adriana and Gigi's thoughts on it, and Eddie and I were kind of secondary. But honestly, like, I had built it up so high in my head that there's zero chance it could have lived up to those expectations. I'm still very, very happy with what I got, but at the end of the day, like, is it going to live up to $1,100? Like, it's tough. I don't know that it ever will, but it's a really nice package for a decent price if you consider, you know, what customs on the secondary or customs would run, basically. So I am happy with it, but did it like cook me dinner and make me... All right, that's enough of that nut talk. But yeah, it didn't do everything I could have ever wanted, but it's a really nice figure. So
That's fair. I'm going to put it on the bedside table beside me, because it better sing me to sleep at night after paying
right.
$1,500 Canadian.
As an owner of their product, Marco, what would you say to the likes of myself and I think Zach that have got the Gandalf on pre-order? Should we be worried or should we be excited?
I think that you're going to be very excited as long as they have taken into consideration most of the feedback. I know Zach has been all over them about like, hey, let's do the print, let's make the beard longer. Obviously, they've given the second staff. I think it's going to be a really premium product and probably the best Gandalf on the market. So I think you should be excited. And that one runs about $500 or how much was it?
I think it was like
conversion-wise,
$460 and then
Yeah,
something like that.
I think I
don't
paid about
remember.
$320 UK pounds, so yeah, probably about $400. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's gonna live up to that, honestly. And now, if it was a 2-pack where like it was a slightly different Gandalf or the robe was different and the expression, then I think that's kind of where they could have let us down. But I think that release is going to be very strong.
Yeah.
We got Gigi in the chat, by the way, and she's probably my favorite part of 1/6 Fix channel. So again,
Everyone's
she was
favorite
on the
part.
show
Yeah.
today, so make sure you guys catch that later on replay, like I will be doing with some probably chocolate almond nuts. Honestly, later I've got some up in the fridge. I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's gonna be
This
good.
is getting extra nuts right
It's
now.
getting extra
Triple
nuts.
nut.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, because I want to stay on that expectations train that we were talking a little bit about first. So, as somebody now who has been doing kind of YouTube shows for like a year. I'm on, Collecting Weekly Tuesday every night, every week with Zach and the boys, and I'm part of other streams as well. And it is really fun to speculate about what could come, right? It's really fun. But some of the impact that we have, I think, by accident is if and when we are as kind of like a collector community, but also like I don't like using the word influencer community, but kind of like podcasting and being here, being on screen, sharing our thoughts, sharing our views, sharing our excitement. Do you think, Pete, that we accidentally hype people up to the point of disappointment being like YouTube influencers, if you want to call it that? Or do you feel like it's still okay for the collecting community of folks who do these YouTube videos every week to be excited and share what they think might come, despite it may or may never come? Do you think that they set up that disappointment or not?
No, because we were all just pissing in the wind, as they say. We're we've got we all had our own kind of personal wish lists for Return of the Jedi stuff, and obviously a lot of that overlaps, and there's no reason to not speculate, and but obviously it was done with no insider knowledge or anything like that. We were just expressing our own personal loves and wants and things like that. So people certainly shouldn't look into anything that we say and think, and then they said we were going to get this and we didn't. Well, we got no idea, and obviously I'm extremely disappointed at what we basically didn't get on May the 4th, particularly as I'm a main, pretty much an OT guy. Great that we got the Vader and the 3PO a couple of weeks earlier, but as you said, if they'd saved those till May the 4th, people wouldn't have felt so disappointed. But because the OT got nothing, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got shafted. Whereas if they'd saved those just a couple of weeks, at least we could have gone, we did get something. But then there's still questions about, are we going to get an R2? Is there a new R2 coming? Things like that, which, how long do we need to wait for that to know that or not? So
for sure. I think it's crazy that we didn't get any OT Star Wars stuff on May the 4th. It just blows me away. It seems
particularly
like
being the 40th of Jedi.
It just seems like such a strange miss. And I mean, of all the chats I was a part of when we were talking about what figures might come, like what are your thoughts? What's your list? Like what do you think we might get? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't think I heard anybody say Darth Sidious even. And
from the Clone Wars, no.
From the Clone Wars, I don't think I heard anybody say that as even like a prediction, which is interesting. I showed Shauna this picture, and I was like, do you know who this is? And she was like, is it Joe Biden? And I was like,
how fucking dare you, Shauna? How fucking dare you?
No. She's like, she's like, okay. Is it Mr. Burns if he was a real person? Oh, I was like, also no.
Yeah. Oh, Zach, while we were on Biden, how old is Biden?
I think he's like 82.
So yeah, my king is only 74. So you're
Bro,
likely
your
to have
king is 74, looking like 803. That motherfucker looked like Snoke.
Yeah. That's what people said when in his gold cloak. Yeah.
Hang on, let's see.
82, and he's just getting warmed up right now. He's ready for another 4 years.
How old is he? Let's see. Wow, the widget
Joe
doesn't
Biden?
tell you. How old is
104.
Joe Biden? 80 years old. How old is the king? King Charles.
He's 74.
He's really only 74. How does he look so old?
Because he's
living a life of luxury.
He works hard.
No, maybe.
Go ahead.
I'm like, don't even print them on the money. You're gonna have to reprint it in a few weeks. Like, my goodness.
While you look that up here, CT60 says, you don't, but social media and streaming in general does. It's the same effect on shows that get released. People theorize at nauseum what's going, and then ultimately are let down.
True.
And it's fair. And I think even to a point as streamers, we start to feel like a little let down because we're part of these shows. And I hear about possibilities that I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that. That would be really cool to get. And then I start looking at the collection. I start, theorizing maybe where I could put that figure if I got it. And then when they don't come, I'm like, okay, at least my wallet is safe. But the other part of streaming and talking about our theories and talking about figures, I think one of the hardest parts is, and it's not hard, I shouldn't say it like that, but a challenging aspect of it is making sure that you are honest about your actual opinion. If you like it, say you like it. If you don't like it, also say you don't like it. If you think it's coming, say that. If you don't think it's coming, say that. I think people appreciate consistency, right? And when we're doing these shows week over week over week over week, people have longer memories than I do. So if I say, oh, I hate that figure, and then the very next week I'm like, I love that figure because I'm on with a different streamer, that's going to upset people, because it's like, well, then you're not being consistent in your take. So
Can
I think
counter that point though, Ben?
For sure.
Really quick.
For sure.
Because I think you're right. It is important for us to be consistent and to be earnest and to give our true opinions. But also, if there's new information presented, we all reserve the right to change our mind, right? Like, we are human. So maybe we need to be transparent about, hey, this is how I felt. I think I remember how I felt last week, and this is how I'm feeling after XYZ info was announced.
For sure. And honestly, like, the top 10 lists always get me. When I'm like surfing YouTube and I've got about 15 minutes to kill, if there's like a top 10 predictions of movies coming or hot toys coming or whatever, those grab me. So like, obviously people like predictive lists, but I'd be curious to hear from the chat as well, and everybody that's listening on replay down the line here. What are your thoughts on streamers just giving their opinion on what's to come? Is that something that's appreciated? Or do you wish that we'd scale that back a little bit and talk about really just what's available now? I'd love to hear from you guys, because again, this show, even just as a Let's Get Nuts show, often we talk about the things that might come, and I'm kind of excited, and I will never not be excited on the show. It's my show. I do what I want with my show. I wish I had Zach's clip right now, but I will always be excited as long as I am consistent, and I would love for you guys to hold me to that always as well, as a chat community. I would like to hear. But Austin Nicholas is also in the chat now. Austin didn't get a chance to stream with us today, even though he wanted to, because his lovely lady wanted some Austin time. So I hope that was good time, Austin. But he says 31 people in the chat and 28 likes. What a great chat support. So thank you for that. If you guys are just tuning in here now, hit the like button. If you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, or any of these guys here, Collecting Weekly, OFAC, or 16 Fix, please subscribe to those guys as well. It's amazing how hard it is to get subscribers. You can release tons of content and people will watch it and often don't click that button. So always appreciated for sure. Austin Nicholas says, give me the opinions. I don't care if they differ from mine or if they're wrong. I just like listening to friends and collectors' thoughts. And I think that is the biggest thing, right? When I started collecting Hot Toys, I didn't know anybody else that collected Hot Toys, and Shauna didn't care, so like I didn't have anybody I could really talk to about it with, or what I thought was cool, or what my opinions of figures were and everything. And finding the community definitely provided that outlet, but I think it can sometimes cross the line a little bit, so it's interesting. Shiny says speculation is fun. Whether it's responsible or irresponsible is down to the proclivites. I don't know that word. Thank you. Of the person listening, which is absolutely fair. I think we'll never know. Speculate.
I think that the way that sort of Zach grew Collecting Weekly was very much about speaking our minds and saying if we don't like something or if we love something, and doing it with good humour as well. I felt that before I kind of got involved with all of that a lot of people were just saying everything was great and fantastic and everything. So I definitely would prefer to watch people that are honest about something, and they might say it's the shittest thing ever, but if I like it, I'm still going to buy it. It's not going to stop me. But I'd like to hear people's opinions, definitely.
So do you like this head sculpt then for Palpatine or Sidious? No,
it's not bad.
No,
do you think it looks like Joe Biden?
It needs squishing in.
Okay, so I thought this was bad on Wednesday, and I went to bed thinking like, man, they really dropped the ball. And then Ben, do you have the K1 photos or no?
I don't.
I can pull them up if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I thought they were bad. I was like, man, it seems like from here down they squished it, and from here up everything lines up pretty well. K1, who's like our guy that edits these photos together, he released a photo of if you want to bring that in, and I think that this looks pretty solid. Like when you compare all the angles, and just to verify that he didn't stretch it at all, I lined them up myself, and they were pretty spot on. So, I mean, I think as far as accuracy goes, like, you know, obviously, you know, he could smirk 100 times, and you know, it might change just a little bit, but I don't think this is that bad. I don't think this is that bad. So
Someone screenshot those DMs.
yeah, I'm double checking, but I think they're all good. But I don't think that it's bad, to be honest. Like, I think a lot of us, you know, a lot of the images that came out initially Wednesday night, they weren't scaled properly together. And so once you actually scale them together and put them side by side, it looks much better. But a lot of the ones that I was seeing, like on OSR, they were, you know, it was, the scale was wrong. So I think it kind of gives you that optical illusion that it is really bad. And I think on Wednesday we were guilty of that as well, that we, you know, the images that we had just initially, they weren't scaled together. And so we weren't really doing our due diligence on Wednesday. But yeah, on Tuesday we'll talk more about those K1 photos, but I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, we'll definitely deep dive them a little on Tuesday, which is actually the reason I didn't bring them up on today's slide. So thanks for sharing
my
that,
bad.
Zach. No, it's good. I just didn't want to spoil your show by any stretch. So.
Oh no, I didn't make those photos, so it's totally fine.
Okay, cool. And they've been floating around for sure. CT603 says this is extremely accurate. I like the I should say the head sculpt more and more as I look at it. However, because I'm not a Clone Wars guy, I don't think it would be the Sidious that would come into my collection. I kind of wanted a reissue of Emperor Palpatine. And I'm okay if it hadn't come with the chair. I'm okay with it if like a reissue or a 2.0 had preserved the original release in some way or another. I'm always good with that. But like for me, you know, I'm just thinking of like if I get that Return of the Jedi Vader in hand, I want the Emperor from that film to go with it. I wouldn't necessarily want this. And I like when the Emperor looks like really wrinkly and scary looking. Even the fact that this guy didn't come with any like orange or yellow eyes, I don't know if that's in Clone Wars, but obviously it is in later iterations of the character. I think that could have been cool, but this one will be one that I personally skip. But I don't think it's as bad as people have been saying that it is. Is there a level of disappointment here? I think if we'd got this sprinkled in with other figures from the OT trilogy, I feel like people would have been like, wow, it was a heyday of figures. This is amazing. But I don't know. Absolute Irwin says, OT Palps is coming, Ben. You'll be fine. And maybe. Maybe so. At that point, I hope I've been able to save some money after paying back my Joker Rooted 2-pack. Because this guy also came out, I think on the 5th, 4th or the 5th, I can't remember now, for actual like release, right? So we saw this solicited a while back. I don't love this figure either. I know that's me. Again, I'm not trying to be negative by any stretch. I think I love the look of OG Stormtroopers. I like that there's the Death Trooper that's available. I also have the Black Shadow Trooper, which has like the OG helmet style. It's just all black with silver eyes. For me, that does the trick for me. But Zach, I know you love the Shadow Trooper. In fact, I even thought about selling it to you there at one point. Is this a figure you'd pick up for your Star Wars collection?
No. So
I gotta stop asking
I realize
questions
it's a
that have
bit
yes or no
hypocritical.
answers.
Yeah, it's okay. Sorry, I'll expand.
Elaborate, yes.
Why don't you like this?
Okay. Well, I'm fucking getting there. I'm trying to bust his nut, and you guys keep talking.
Zach, give us some reasons why you don't like this, all right?
Yes,
Give me some reasons.
yes. Okay, so I realize it's hypocritical, but this guy didn't get a ton of screen time, nor did I feel like he ever did anything that cool. With that being said, in Battlefront 2, this Shadow Trooper was kind of like that. Like if you play the game and you do well, you can unlock this skin. And then just traditionally what it had always represented in like the extended universe canon. That is why I like the Shadow Trooper. This one doesn't necessarily have that same sort of feeling for me. I think it's cool. I think having the Death Trooper blaster is really random. I think it really waters down that rifle. I think the helmet, I mean, I think it looks cool. It's just, it was, I believe, only in the Inquisitor Fortress, and then it obviously didn't do very much. So I think if it was something like we had seen more of them walking around with Vader, maybe it would have been a bit cooler. Design wise, I think it looks great, but just from what we saw it actually doing, I think at that point I'm a bit meh on it.
Cool. Interesting. Pete, same question goes for you. I know you were lukewarm, at least on the Obi-Wan series, but is this one that you would consider bringing into the collection to add to your trooper line?
No, I don't like it at all. I don't like the fact that I feel like they just keep inventing new troopers just probably to sell merchandise more than anything else. And I just think it kind of dilutes the line. I love all the classic stuff, and nothing that's come out. I'm not even a Death Trooper fan. No trooper outfit since Jedi has captured my imagination or been something that I want to have in my collection. Unfortunately, I like the black and red. I know that people like having black troopers and stuff like that, but yeah. Not for me.
I think it photographs really well. CT603 here says, I don't even care that these aren't canon type troopers. I can't wait to take photos of these two. Already dopoed 2 of them. Honestly, I'm excited to see photos on people's collections with these. I've always said, when it comes to Hot Toys, especially now that I've been streaming and building out my collection, and I bought more Hot Toys in the last 2 years than I did in 8 years, I have to be really strategic with my collection. So even if I like something, that does not mean that I'm going to buy it. I started to put together just the cost, and maybe I'll share it next Let's Get Nuts, but the cost of every figure that's come out over the last year or 18 months since I've been kind of streaming and doing YouTube. And the cost to me as a collector would be astronomical, in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. And so it takes a very specific type of person out there and dollar amount that can actually justify spending that kind of coin on their figures. And so I'm as much as I like this, as much as I think it's cool, as much as I think it would photograph well, there's absolutely no way that I'd bring these guys in, because I have to be strategic about my Star Wars collection, especially Star Wars, with there being so many figures out there. But Marco, I know you are often in a similar boat, but I also know that you can fold a little bit sometimes when somebody's like, these are really good, you should consider it.
Yeah.
Not to call you out, especially if Gigi's still watching. Do you think this is something that you could see in your collection, especially if it hit your Bargain Bin Bros stream at some point?
Yeah, so definitely I can be influenced if I see or presented with new data. I love to love everything, honestly. Convince me why I should get this one. I don't personally love this design though. I think that the colorway, the black and red, like I've said, because I'm a big Jordan guy, I love the colorway a lot. If it was a classic Stormtrooper design, just these colors superimposed on it, I think it would be all for me. But I don't like the really large samurai helmet. For whatever reason, that looks pretty goofy, plus the mouth plate. Overall, it's just kind of, to me, a goof. It's more goofy than it is intimidating. That being said, I haven't seen it in person. I'm sure these look great in person. They'll be nice and glossy. I think everything will probably look really nice if there's a main character standing in front. So I don't want to go too hard on this figure, but I think there's a lot of misses for me in terms of the design. So definitely not for me, and I don't think I can be convinced to pick 1 or 2 of them up.
This comment makes me laugh. Nucleo says, the porcelain pattern perch trooper will have my dollar. So I actually had an opportunity to buy the porcelain stormtrooper at one point and passed because I was still pretty new to collecting. And it was right around the time I got my white trooper and shadow trooper. And I was like, no, I don't think I need that. And then things skyrocketed in value. Absolutely insane. Zach, you're muted, buddy. So
That's an all-time grail for people now.
I know. I wish I'd got it now, just for the sake of saying that I'd had it at some point. But it would have probably got sold on. To be fully honest, I don't know if I would have kept it in the collection. Now, this next one here, we're wrapping up here in about 10 minutes, guys. So quick thoughts on Battle Droids. So this, is a weirdly nostalgic release for me, because I figure based on timeline, I was about somewhere between 10 and 12 when The Phantom Menace came out. And I remember going and seeing that movie like crazy, and then they had all of the carded figures with the small scale, they had the voice box thing that you could buy, and each figure came with this little plastic tab that said that had their voices on it. I've got one in the mechanical room, I'll grab that in just a second, but I loved having the battle droids as part of that series of collection. They always were really posable. They were really fun. But of course, these guys came out, and with the weird like up and down nature of wait lists lately and stuff like that, I kind of missed my opportunity to lock one in. I believe that they're still waitlisted now at this point, but they're finally being released. And I think this was actually a release that we saw on May the 4th last year, Zach, if I'm not mistaken, because I think we were streaming together actually when it came out. I think it was an After Dark Wednesday that it popped up. And I remember we were pretty excited about this. Now, the weird thing for me when it comes to these battle droids is the C-3PO helmet. While I think it's cool that you get one, can you imagine if you wanted to try and army build some of these guys, how many C-3PO helmets you may end up having? It'd be such a weird thing to have a collection of floating around. But what are your thoughts on this, Marco? Are the battle droids something that you'd want for your Star Wars setup? And would you only stick to one, or would you need to buy multiple to make it justified?
Yeah, so I do not like the battle droids at all. I really like the super battle droid design. I think those are badass, but the battle droids themselves are just such idiots. Like, I get that's the point. They're supposed to be goofy and kid-friendly, but to me, the whole Roger and them just being just dumbasses just is so off-putting to me that even when I see them pop up in Clone Wars, it's like, these guys again. So I'm not a battle droid fan at all, and can easily pass on these. I think, the design is, just... It's so simplistic that at least they're priced a little bit more affordably, but I think, reasonably so, because it's like they're very thin figures. So interested to see what people think about these overall once they get them in hand, but not a huge fan in any way.
I don't know. I still kind of want one. Now, if they do, I think they're going to give us more. I do think that they were going to give us more. Pete, do you think that when it comes to certain figures, even though obviously there's a cost of stocking things in places like Sideshow, there's a cost of making them, do you feel like there are figures like battle droids that companies like Hot Toys should make surpluses of so that you can just always buy them? Like, you should always be able to go to Sideshow or one of your favorite websites to buy 6 scale and see figures like this on there. Because for me, I might buy one every 6 months or a year and slowly build a bit of an army of them. But because they went waitlist so quickly, kind of missed my opportunity, right? And so if they don't make other battle droids, I'm now just kind of, that's it. Now I have to try and find them secondary pricing. I feel like there should always be a surplus. But what are your thoughts? Are there certain figures, maybe not even from the Star Wars line, that Sideshow or Hot Toys should just always have surplus of?
Yeah, I mean, just to go back, I do quite like the battle droids. I get what Marco's saying. They are goofy as shit, and they're even worse in Clone Wars. I mean, they are comedy relief, and it does get. I mean, they're second most annoying after Jar Jar, because he just trashes stuff, doesn't he? But I do like the design. I like the way they fold up. I think that's really cool. We've got one coming to the house because I'm getting one for my son, although it'll be put away for Christmas. He's mental. He loves battle droids, any of the battle droids. So I ordered one of these day one. I think I'm quite happy with having just one representation. I mean, I admire these guys that say I've got a case of 6 clones there and that. I mean, it'd be nice to have that kind of money to just throw at things. And I have had multiples of certain I had 2 Sand Troopers, and I always thought that they needed to be posed together, but when push came to shove and I needed space, I needed some cash, then if I have multiples of a figure, that's always going to be the first thing that goes. So we're just going to have the one. I guess they will do the tan ones, but then you can't really match them up together because these are obviously the Geonosis ones, and it would look weird there. It'd be nice to think that they could almost like produce them to demand kind of thing in this day and age, but I think it's all about supply and demand, isn't it? And it's the relative rareness of these collectibles that gives them their value.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is what I wanted to show you guys. Here, I'll show them. See if I can. How do you?
Oh wow!
How do you do
carded
this here?
mold.
Solo. Yeah. So the carded mold. I had so many of these when I was younger, and like they came with like this little chip for the, what is it called, the Comtech technology.
Excuse
you
me?
could put it on.
Oh, Comtech. Okay.
The nut tech.
Yes, nut tech.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I like this guy. I mean, it doesn't look anything like Darth Maul up close, really.
No, Ben, this back in the
unfortunately,
day, this was like the
but
best figure
these were
to ever
badass.
drop.
100%. So I don't know. I get what people are saying. Toy Box here says I want the battle droids, but I'll wait for the tan ones. Yeah, you know what? These were close enough to me, but I get it that they are the Geonosis ones. So fair enough. We've got.
I want to know who Ched. Is it you that he's chatting up, Ben? I don't know who's.
It was me.
You have such a gentle tone.
Chedwin Mandeli says you have such a gentle tone in your voice, makes streaming an easy listen. Thanks for helping me get through my studies. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're listening. Don't sacrifice your studies for Toy Talk. We're available on replay anytime. Clearly, it was my voice that is the gentle one, not you, Pete.
Yeah, British guy should win by default, but yeah,
I think so.
That's fair.
Pete, say
that is
bottle
fair.
of water for him.
bottle of water.
Bottle of water.
Bottle of water, governor.
There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I really sound. Yeah, yeah.
Pete's such a good sport. I fucking love it.
That's fair.
Can I say a British thing really quick? I did not know what Alfred was drinking at the end of Dark Knight Rises, and for the longest time, like I could have looked it up, but I was like, I have no clue what he's saying. It just sounds cool. But
What was
Fernet,
it?
Fernet was
Branca?
what he was drinking. Yeah, there you go. I thought it was a Fernie Branca. I was like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds awesome.
I tried to Google
Fernet
it once.
Blanca, I
and
think, is the
came up with some
is
really
the
weird
liquor.
sites. Yeah. Be careful what you Google. Is the
Definitely don't Google
is the
double
lesson
nut.
that we've learned here.
Furry Bronco.
Double nut.
A furry bronco. Hate to see it. Boys, that completes the stream today for Let's Get Nuts. Again, a reminder here who these folks are. So we've got Pete from OFAC, or Only Fools and Collecting, which of course is a division of Collecting Weekly. But go and subscribe to the playlist that those guys have. Ian Pete over there, two British dudes, always will tell you how it is in some very matter-of-fact language. In fact, make sure there's no two little people in there, because there's lots of swearing, but in a good way, because you know how they really feel when they tell you about a figure. But Pete, what do you got coming up on OFAC, good sir, or in life? What should we know about you going forward until we see you next Sunday? Of course.
I don't know. We've only just done an OFAC, so it's kind of normally. I mean, only every 2 weeks, so there's not a lot come up yet. But obviously, by the time we release the next episode, hopefully there'll be some good drops and everything. But yeah, it's we're closing in on. I think the next one will be 93, so we're coming up to that big century, which is going to be good. So we'll have to start planning something big for that.
Very cool, man. Thanks for joining again, Pete. If anybody new is just joining in, Pete has been on every Let's Get Nuts show since its inception. I think we're now 6 or 7 shows in.
Yep.
I do have a playlist on the Ben Thomas show, so if you guys liked the video today and you want to listen back to some of the previous weeks, we've had lots of great discussions and typically some different panelists every single time, which I appreciate. The boys never make me sit here and talk to myself, which I appreciate.
It's great. It's great for me because I always want to get on more streams, but obviously it's very difficult for me to get on the ones on like US time and stuff because they're silly at that hours in the morning. But this just works great for me, and so thanks for you making it such a UK friendly time slot. Ben, it's
awesome, man.
really good. Yeah,
I said to Shauna today because she was like, "Could you just start it at 3:30?" as we were driving aggressively back from IKEA, and I was like, "No, because then Pete might not be able to show up."
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. We need that British
thanks,
flair
man.
in our life. So, Only Fools and Collecting, division of Collecting Weekly. Go check that out. This is what the Collecting Weekly symbol looks like if you guys are new to streaming. Mr. Zach, who of course is the Ox Father, the daddy, the guy who runs it all. Dean, of course, is a sweet second. Let's be honest.
The double
but
doesn't do
he's
doesn't
a
do anything
lovely
for the
fellow.
show.
I
Does he?
miss Dean. But Zach, tell me what you got coming up on Collecting Weekly, buddy. What do we got to look forward to, of course, on the channel?
So Tuesday we're talking the Groot. We're talking what else are we talking about? Fox, Sidious. We don't have a topic yet. Usually Ben is our topic guy. Obviously he's the best at that. So hopefully Ben, you can help me out with that. But yeah, it should be fun. At the moment we're a foursome, and I think it's been working out pretty good. We just had the hot seat, which was for you guys to guess what would be revealed for May the 4th. I don't think anyone was technically correct.
yeah.
So
Nobody was
I have to think of a way for you guys to get some bonus points, because I don't want to have Jeopardy and we all have like 2 points, and that'd be kind of lame. So we'll figure something out. But yeah, it should be fun. Every Tuesday, I think we're like up to 270 something, 50. I don't even know. There's a lot of episodes, but
I really
it'll be
wish
fun.
I'd said Darth Sidious. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what it sounded like. Wow, that Ben guy is an
Wow.
expert 1/6 scale
would've thought?
collector.
Smart.
Wow, super good. So, guys, check out Collecting Weekly if you haven't already for both Ian, Pete, as well as Zach and Dean and the boys and myself. I'm on there every Tuesday night as well, if you guys like my take. With Marco typically as well. And Marco, over at 1/6 Fix here, let me make sure I got your slide. Ooh, I did put you in there. You love to see it. I know you did that stream today, like I was mentioning already, an unboxing of your Joker Rooted 2-pack, which I'm very jealous I wasn't able to partake in, by the way. I said to Sean, I was like, Marco didn't say that him and I were going to unbox together, but I contracted that in my heart a little bit and felt
still
sad
planned
when it was Eddie.
I still plan to be on your unboxing though and talk about the Joker though. So when you get it
100%,
in,
dude.
if
100%.
I'm still invited, I will be there.
We can brush the hair together. We can have a laugh. It'll be good.
Love
But
it.
what do you got going on 1/6 Fix and with Gigi and life and all of the good things, sir? And where can people find you?
So first of all, Ben, thank you for having me, and thank you for the plug on the stream we did earlier. So go check that out, the Joker in art boxing, or excuse me, unboxing. It was a lot of fun. We got into some really weird topics with the ladies. It was a good dumb time all
Excited
around.
for it.
We will be doing one more. The hope is to do one more episode of the She Said No podcast before Gigi kind of goes into a hole for 2 months to study for the bar. So we're hoping to squeeze out one last one if there is time. Go check that out. Bargain Bin Bros, we just did an episode on Friday. It was a lot of fun. So Ben, hoping that we can make a time for you to join one of those.
It's
again
always
as
like
well. We're
10
just
o'clock
missing
in the
each
morning
other.
for me. I'm just like, it's so I can watch it from the road or from an estimate, but it's very hard for me to get on. I'll get on to one of these Fridays. I'll just book
No
it off.
pressure. You've got you got to keep this job so you can keep getting the collectibles. So
I need to keep
totally
Joao Breda
understand.
in his place. He's been sending me some weird shit lately. I got to see him in person again. So
He's gone off the rails. And can I just give a plug really quick? So obviously, always want to plug Collecting Weekly. We've been having a lot of fun over there. LWO on Fridays. But I will say for OFAC, if anyone that's watching hasn't checked out the interview that Pete did with Andy from Iconic, that was a really great episode. And I would say Andy kind of challenged a lot of the incorrect assumptions that I had in terms of manufacturing and like the whole process. And so I really enjoyed that one a lot and was really informative. So definitely go check that out. I know my thought process shifted on a few things after that one. So
was that on the
definitely.
new Ken release? The Ken?
That was a portion
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
Portion
that
of it,
was
yeah.
sort of the main topic. Yeah.
So people can find it. Okay, cool. And then, like I said earlier, guys, it is the Double Nut Sunday here. So from here, we're gonna have about a 5 to 10 minute intermission, and then you guys will see this screen grab coming up with the reissue title on it, where Marco, myself, and Zach are there. Pete, I'm sure you're absolutely welcome to join if it's not too late. I know it's getting probably midnight now for you there, but
Yeah,
if you're
10
still
past
awake,
midnight, yeah.
you're certainly welcome.
What are you talking about?
We're deep diving Dark Knight figures today, so we're going to look about the 1.0s, the 2.0s, the 2.5.0s, all all of the things.
Pete said no.
Not for me. No, I'm going to bed. As much as I love you guys,
Fair enough.
if it was a Star Wars, I might make the effort. But yeah.
A little of us goes a long way.
I'll catch it on the replay.
There you go.
For me, the Ben Thomas Show, of course, we're going to be back next Sunday for another episode of Let's Get Nuts, so make sure you guys are there. Please bookmark it in your calendars. I will typically put out the screen grab Thursday or Friday as a reminder to everybody. And then I just released my DIY display video on how I built the cabinets behind me, the lighting I used, the tools I used, and all of that. So if you missed it, check it out. I've had a couple people say they're going to change the way that they do their system up now, so I think that's really cool. I love hearing the feedback. Everybody that stuck around with us here till the end, I love you guys. Thank you for joining and watching another episode of Let's Get Nuts. Hopefully, Chedwin Mendoli, we will see you next Sunday. Now that you're coming from Spain, now we know it's a good slot for you, so we'll see you there. Joker J and all the rest, Ryan Smith, everybody, 603 CT 603. Again, thanks for watching, guys. But with that said, let me see where my finale is here. And that's it. We're out. See you guys again. Thanks, everybody.
I'll be back.